evening, everyone. It is Craig Whispering Storyteller here, and I hope you are well. Well, you're probably wondering where I am. For once, I'm actually absent because the focus today is going to be on the backdrop in my office. So I received a wonderful comment from the Love by One, who asked if I would consider talking about random items from my backdrop in the office. I thought that was a wonderful idea, and maybe because a lot of people ask questions about the backdrop and the items that fill my shelves, maybe I could just select an item, I could draw it, and we could just have a chat about that one item. So I'm going to start the ball rolling by selecting something myself and drawing it and talking about it. So here we go, the big finger of destiny. What will I choose? What will I choose? Furby. Let's talk about my Furby. And I'll draw him. So this is an original Furby from 1998. And it's still got the tag on there, Tiger Toys. And yeah, I bought this actually back in 1998 at Hamley's toy store in London. Looks like it's been through the wars a little bit, but I think he still works. I can't be sure. And his ears are very gremlin-like, aren't they? Mogwai, and he's got the most amazing green eyes. And I remember him being a bit of a chatterbox when he had his batteries in. In fact, we used to take the batteries out. So let's draw him and have a chat about Furby. So I'll just open my drawing pad and get some pens and just start having a scribble away. I'm not the greatest drawer in the world, but I can draw. And I do enjoy drawing. I used to draw a lot more than what I do these days, unfortunately. So yeah, I remember the Furby was the it toy of 1998. They were so in demand and you could not get a Furby for love nor money. Every store was sold out and people would queue to get them. And they were quite an innovative toy because they were interactive. And you had to look after your Furby, you had to feed your Furby. And if I remember rightly, you had to learn your Furby how to talk. They actually evolved a lot since this one, this original one. And I think you can get them kind of digital ones now that hatch from an egg. It's kind of a Tamagotchi, a kind of an accentuated version of a Tamagotchi. Furby actually was bought for my younger sister in the 90s. I was in Hamleys in London, toy store, very famous toy store. I happened to just strike it lucky because when I walked in, they had just received an order of Furbies. And it was like that scene in the Arnold Schwarzenegger film, the one with the toy. Jingle All the Way, that's what it's called. But everybody was scrambling for these Furbies, and I was just lucky, right time, right place, and I just managed to get one. And it's a lovely feeling when you can buy something and you know that you've got something that is going to be absolutely adored. It's a great feeling when you are on top of Christmas presents like that. And I knew my sister would absolutely adore it. I couldn't wait for her to open it. It was very exciting. And you can get all different colours of Furbies, if I remember rightly. Purple, blue, but I settled for this green fella. And he's still here, but I seem to have adopted him these days. Just drawn his eyelids there. I almost forgot to draw his eyelids. And his eyes are just so amazing. I just love those eyes. This thing never shuts up. I don't know what that little thing is on the forehead. It looks like it might be a sensor or something. I think it might be. And the beak itself, it's kind of very bird-like as well, isn't it? That beak never stops yakking away when it's on. I should put the batteries in and just see if he does work. I just remember that really kind of chirpy little voice. And just doing some fur, using the pen to scribble some fur in. That's it. Just give the texture that this fur and hair. Scribble, 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 scribble. Just gives it a little bit of texture, maybe. So just looking on Wikipedia, it was originally released in 1998, and it resembles, according to this, a hamster or an owl-like creature. And it was one of the must-have toys following its holiday launch. And according to this, over 40 million Furbies were sold during 3 years of its original production, with 1.8 million sold in 1998 and 14 million in 1999. So this is kind of a prototype, domestically aimed robot. So it started out the box talking complete Furbish, but starts to pick up English words and phrases to replace Furbish over time. What do you think? It kind of resembles him a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, so more updated and more complex facial movements were introduced in 2005 and 2007. And he even started to get LCD eyes, and yeah, it's coming on. It's coming on, that's not too bad. What we'll do now is we will start to colour him in. Just grab some pens, some green pens, different shades of green there. And maybe colour some of that fur in, because it's like black and green. Black and green. Yeah, so the new generation was just launched in 2023. So he has evolved massively, but there's something about this first version that's really endearing, and he just sits on my shelf year after year now. And it's just one of the many kind of pop culture collections I have. And I inherited this from my sister, bless her. She kind of outgrew the Furby, and I saw him lying around and I rescued him and adopted him, and he sits on my shelf now. And yeah, just colouring in that fur, just to give it a bit of a... Yeah, it looks alright. Maybe get a different shade of green for that little tuft of hair on his head. That random tuft of hair, that's quite cute. Choose a different colour green, I think. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so I think that was a wonderful idea from Love Pie 1. If you wanted to choose another thing, we could get that off the shelf and I could talk about how I ended up with that object, why it's in my office, and maybe just a little bit of history about the item itself. You probably notice in the backdrop things change, I move things around and random things appear then disappear. Records. I'm particularly interested in vintage pop culture. And those lovely pale green eyes. So I just found that if I did like go from the outside, from the inside of the pupil, I got kind of like an effect. Didn't completely work out, but it's close enough, I think. And there's that lovely tan colour on his chest and around his eyes. Now the colour that I only have is the closest, and it's not massively, it's a bit darker, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, we could draw anything on that shelf. You'll have to let me know what you'd like me to do next time. Just a bit of mindless fun, just to relax to and unwind. Very fine, these pens as well. Very fine nibs on them, so colouring in is a bit tricky, especially with larger areas, but it seems to do the trick. I actually like colouring in, it's quite therapeutic, isn't it? Apparently they made a film version of Furbies. film adaptation announced in 2016 by the Weinstein Company. Okay, it didn't come to any fruition apparently. Yeah, so it was announced in 2016 by Bob Weinstein, and it didn't come to fruition. It was going to have both live action and animated characters. Maybe missed the boat with that one now, I think. So Tiger Electronics as well. Tiger Toys is a US-based toy manufacturer. Headquarters are in Vernon Hills, Illinois, and is a subsidiary of Hasbro. So the last thing to do with this little guy is to colour that beak in that lovely bright yellow. There we go. And he is finished. What do you think? I'll just kind of use some darker brown to try and highlight some of the areas. Didn't completely work, but there you go. So there he is, finished. And thank you for joining me with this one. I'll put him back on the shelf. And what will be next? You decide. Let me know what you'd like to talk about.